Okay, so we're going to continue our discussion of parabolas. Now, parabolas, as we're used to them, open up and down. But there are other types of parabolas that open side to side. So the equation looks a little bit different. Okay, so you can see from the graphic, okay, that the top two, okay, open from um, left to right, okay, and their vertex is at 0, 0. So this makes life a little bit more interesting, okay? Um, and then on the bottom two, you will notice that they have a different vertex, HK. Okay, so you will also note, okay, that the equations are right here. And what I want you to look at specifically is where the square is. So you'll notice that the square is on the y. So with a parabola that opens left, right, the quadratic term is the y variable. Okay, so it's very important to keep track where that quadratic term is. Now, so also a couple more things change. Okay. All right. So you will notice that, get rid of that. Okay, the directrix is now a vertical line instead of a horizontal line. And you will notice that the axis of symmetry is a horizontal line rather than a vertical line. So it flip-flopped. Okay. All right. Now, just so you are aware, okay, this guy, this A, should be a P. So let's change that to a P because we use P in Edgenuity. Doesn't make too much of a difference, but just kind of keep it consistent. All right. So another thing you might notice is that you can actually write these a little bit different. So what we can do is we can say 1 over 4p y minus k squared is equal to x minus h. Okay. All right. And then if you want to switch it around some more, we can go x equals 1 over 4p y minus k plus h. Okay. Now, what I would like you to do is I would like you to contrast that with the equation we worked with in the previous video. Whoops. There we go. Which was this. Okay. So let's talk about what's the same. Okay, and then what we can do is we can talk about what's different. So vertex is still HK. Okay, still HK. That doesn't change. Okay, axis of symmetry is now y equals k. Okay, on this one, your axis of symmetry is x equals h. Okay. P is still the distance from vertex to focus and vertex to directrix. And it's still the same over here. Okay. I'll just write same, save us some time. Okay. Now, when you have a y variable that is the quadratic, okay, it's going to open left or right. Okay, so it opens left if 1 over 4p is negative. Okay, remember it's still kind of an A. Remember that A. And it opens right if 1 over 4p is positive. Okay, that is obviously a little bit different. Oops, kind of misspaced it. Okay, for this one, which we learned about in the previous video, the parabola opens up if 1 over 4p is positive. Okay, and then it opens down if 1 over 4p is negative. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to graph a side-by-side parabola. Okay, and I might, mess around with the form of it just so you can get used to plane. Okay, and remember, width of the parabola is always 4p. Okay, so let's write that down. Okay, also remember we're going to be using the symmetry of the parabola to help us out. Okay, so let's try one. Let's graph and, oops, so used to doing y equals. Okay, so let's look at our equation. So we have x plus 5 in parentheses equals 1/16 y minus 3 squared. Okay, since the y term is squared, we know that it opens left or right. When we look at the 1/16, that's our 1 over 4p now, we notice that it's positive, so we know that our parabola opens to the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a little. That's what my parabola should look like when I'm all done. Okay, so let's start by finding our vertex. Okay, we're going to use HK. Okay, H is always associated with your x value. So we're going to go -5. Remember, we do opposite when it's set up like this. And a +3. Okay, now since it opens right, our axis of symmetry is going to be y equals 3. Okay, now 1 over 4p is equal to 1 over 16. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve for p. So that gives us, if we cross multiply, 16 equals 4p. So p is equal to 4. Okay, now if I'm doing these kind of things just, for myself, what I'll do right at this point is I'll actually start to graph. Okay, I won't try to do any more with the equation. I'll just start the graph and that'll help me out. Okay, so let's go get a graph. Okay, colors and labeling do help out. So I'm going to graph my vertex, negative 5, 3. So there's negative 4. And I'm going to label that with a little v. Okay, now I'm going to put in my axis of symmetry. Whoops. Make that line a little thinner. Okay, we don't want to go make it too thick. Gets in the way. Okay, there's my axis of symmetry. So I'm going to say axis. Okay, so now I'm going to use the P to help me find my focus. So from the vertex, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the direction of my opening, which is right, and count 4 away right. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my focus. Okay, so and then I ask myself, okay, where is that? My focus is at, that would be negative 1, 3. Notice it's negative 5 plus 4 because you're going to the right. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go back to my vertex, back to the vertex, and now I'm going to count in the opposite direction for my directrix. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my directrix. Okay, remember that the directrix is always perpendicular to the axis of symmetry. So this is going to be a x equals. And then we're going to say, let's see, that's 4 away. So it's going to be at negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, and negative 9. And let me just double check. I'm just double checking something. Sorry, I thought I wrote something wrong. Okay, so now we're ready to graph. Okay, so remember, the width of the parabola is counted from the focus, and the focus is in the middle of that width. So if our entire width is 4p, what we're going to do is we're going to count 2p up and 2p down. So 2p is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's 2p. We want to make 4p total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now, okay, remember your parabola travels through your vertex, not your focus. So just like that. Okay, beautiful. That is a great parabola. Isn't that nice? Okay, not too bad. Okay, let's do another one. Okay. And remember the width of the parabola. Let's write that down. Notice how that matches the denominator. Okay. And you can double check your graph. Okay, let's try another one. Whoopsie. There we go. Aha. Okie dokie. Let's try this one. Let's do x equals negative 1/12 y plus 3. And let's do another number. I think you did 3 last time. Let's go minus. Let's do minus 4. Plus 5. Okay. All right. So again, This is a side-to-side parabola. The reason I know that is my y is the squared term. Okay, I look at my number over here, that's a negative, so I know my parabola opens to the left. Okay, all right, so my vertex of my parabola, okay, now the h is over here, okay, so it's not in parentheses, so I don't have to change the value, okay, so it's 5 and then 4. Cool. All right, now let's see, my axis of symmetry, since it is side to side, is going to be a y value. Y equals 4. Now, we're going to find who p is. So 1 over 4p. Now, when you do the p, since it's a distance, you don't have to worry about the negative, but you do have to be aware of the direction of your parabola's opening. So remember, the distance from the vertex to the focus is 3. The distance from the vertex to the directrix is 3. Okay? Now, the width of the parabola total should be 12. And then halfway between, right? That's going to be 2p on either side. That should be 6. So that's going to help you graph. Okay? So let's get an xy axis. After doing parabolas in one way for so long, this is kind of challenging. Okay, so let's start by graphing our vertex. So we're going to go 5, 4. Then I'm going to graph my axis of symmetry. V, then the axis. Okay, now I'm going to remember to go left. Okay, so when I find my focus, I'm going to go left. So from the vertex, 1, 2, 3 left. There's my focus. Where's that? That is at 2, 4. Notice how your x value changed, your y value did not. Okay, now let's go back to the vertex and find my directrix. So we're going to go right this time. 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Okay, so now where's that directrix? It's at x equals, let's see, 5 plus 3, that's 8. Oops. Okay, now we're ready to graph our parabola. Now remember, your parabola goes through the vertex, so you're actually counting from the focus. Okay, so again, on each side, up and down, we're going to go 2p, okay, which is 6. So from your focus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then remember, your parabola goes through the vertex. It's very important. And then we're done. That's it. Okay? All right. I hope this was helpful. And please let me know if you have any questions.